أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. نحمد ونسلم على رسوله الكريم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. I welcome all of you to the final session of this year's Shifa Academy Summer Project with the title Public Speaking, a Skill to Serve Humanity. Before we begin the program, I would like to start the program with the recitation of the Holy Quran, followed by a few verses of the Burda Sharif. For the recitation of the Holy Quran, I would like to invite Brother Adil to please come here. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. صدق الله العظيم.
مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم محمد سيد الكونين والثقلين محمد سيد الكونين والثقلين محمد سيد الكونين والثقلين والفريقين من عرب ومن عجم مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم هو الحبيب الذي ترجى شفاعته هو الحبيب الذي ترجى شفاعته لكل هول من الأحوال وقدره مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم ثم الرضا على أبي بكر ثم الرضا على أبي بكر وعن عمر وعن علي وعن عثمان ذي الكرم مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم يا ربي بالمصطفى بلغ مقام بك خير الخلق كلهم.
Jazakallah khair, Brother Adil and Sister Alina, for your respective recitations. Um, we began this journey 3 weeks ago, where we discovered what public speaking means to our youth and the present day Ummah. And I think it has been a very interesting journey in terms of what we have learned and in terms of what we have applied based on what we have learned to our daily lives, right? So from the beginning, if I had to summarize this journey, it would be learning and applying, right? And that has been the goal of uh, of this summer project, which is to understand why we learn the things we learn, why is there so much emphasis on public speaking, why is there so much importance to our voices, especially in a world where there are voiceless people who need to be given a voice, and sometimes the best way to address issues is to raise your voice against them, right? And I think the reason why we need to equip ourselves with the ability to speak with the skills that are required to speak so that we can help the Ummah, we can help those in need with this talent of public speaking, right? So from the start, the first week, we saw what public speaking is, why is it so important, what are its benefits, and then we saw some of the highlights of the benefits are increased confidence, how it provides an ability to stand up and speak for yourself and speak for those who cannot speak for themselves, and to use that confidence to sort of push yourself ahead in life. And then we saw how this has serious benefits in terms of your career building, when it helps you to be a more professional person, it helps you speak and it helps you present yourself in a way that is seen as admirable to people. And so the benefits go on, and it will take a couple of sessions for me to just cover the benefits, but we saw a lot of benefits to public speaking, right? In the second week, in the second session rather, we saw what is the connection between public speaking and Islam, right? And then we discovered, to our surprise, that Islam has a very old relation with Quraysh and public speaking. We saw that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bragged about his creation having the ability to speak. In Surah 18, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala we saw mentions that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with one of his qualities, which is speech, right? And can anyone tell me what is Allah's speech? Yes? Yes, correct. Talib and Islam, Quran, absolutely. So the greatest speech we learned was the speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Quran, right? And then we saw how the messengers of Allah, the prophets, used their power of speech to spread Islam. So it's not a new concept, and it's definitely not a concept that is outdated. It's a concept that we constantly need in our lives, because speech is the way we change people's minds. Speech is how we create influence. It's how we generate impact. And then we also saw how some powerful politicians are able to push their agenda because they have the power of speech, right? And this is exactly the methodology that the messengers of Allah, all of them use to further the message of Allah, to further the path to righteousness, right? So it has a very deep connection to Islam, and we need to incorporate that in our lives if we are to earn the benefits of it. And then in the second week, we went into a little more details about how to build a good speech, right? We saw how to construct the opening and the body and the conclusion. And I'm sure in the course of today's session, you will see how our delighted speakers have incorporated these practices into their speeches in terms of how do we have a powerful opening, how to have a structured body, and how to have a good conclusion, right? And we also learned the impact of a speech comes through expressiveness. We also learned that it's even more important to say things, but it's also more important to feel and experience what you're saying to connect with your audience, right? So that's the only way you can generate impact, is if you connect with your audience in a manner that establishes a relationship between them, right? And that's how you generate impact, and that's how you make yourself more valuable as a speaker, right? And then we moved on to the more interesting part. I think this had the most participation, and many of the participants of this session are present here today. We had the brainstorming session for discussing what are the contemporary issues that the Muslims face. We saw how the influence of TikTokers on social media can be a bit of a problem. We saw how we saw very interesting takes on certain celebrities and certain influencers in terms of the grasp they have for people's minds and how that can be really dangerous, especially for our youth today, right? And then we also saw some contemporary issues about the hijab, which is a freedom of expression of the Muslim woman, and how it's often come under attack, and we need to stand up as the Ummah for this injustice, right? And then we also saw a couple of other issues about injustices happening in war-torn countries like Syria, Yemen, Palestine, and how it is our duty to address these issues. And all of these ideas are not mine. All of these ideas are the participants, people who are part of this project. This is their brainchild. These are their opinions, and which is why they have encapsulated all these opinions in their speeches, which will be the final topic of our summer project, which is today, the speech session. Right? So I want you guys to congratulate yourselves for making it to the final week, and thank you so much, everyone, for coming today to today's session. And inshallah, we'll begin with the speeches. So without further ado, I would like to invite who's ready first. Of course, no one. I think I have to pick one. Bisma, you ready? As always. Yeah. So I would like to invite Sister Bisma. She is a level 4 student at Shifa Academy, and I would like to invite her to give her speech on the topic, which is some of your topic again?
Extreme poverty.
Yes, extreme poverty and hunger among poverty-stricken countries. Bisma?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Today, I'm going to be talking on a very frequently heard situation around the world, that is extreme poverty and hunger. My name is Bisma Adnan, and I'm here to inform you about the situation Muslim majority countries have been facing for decades. Before I start, I would just like to say that being wealthy doesn't necessarily mean that you are blessed, or being poor does not really mean that you're really you're cursed. It does not mean that. Economic inequality has been playing a part throughout history. It has been there in every era, and this is proof that rich people have been filthy rich and the poor is really poor. Muslims are being treated unjust, being oppressed, and many more ways of torture are being carried out to obliterate them. But poverty is one of the most crucial and biggest social problems of the modern age. Muslims make up about 22% of the world's population. However, estimates suggest that roughly 35% of the 2 billion people facing poverty worldwide are in Muslim majority countries. Further, the regions of the world with the most significant Muslim population, including Africa and Asia, are facing ever poverty increasing levels. And as the poverty takes place, there is a consequent hunger. Talking about hunger, I want you all to come with me to a woman named Fatima in Yemen. Fatima got married at the age of 15 and had only 2 daughters. Her first daughter was was suffering from severe diarrhea and died. And coming to her second daughter, she was experiencing convulsions and weight loss, and eventually she died because of cardiac arrest. When that small girl cried, there would be neither sound nor tears. The doctor treating the other children said that I would treat children for a few weeks, but they still die. There are millions of stories like Fatima that go unnoticed but need our dire attention. In a world where there's plenty of food to spare, no one deserves to die of hunger. Coming to the part where I can tell you how can we alleviate this deprivation. There are various ways to help the needy, like giving zakat, which is third pillar of Islam. And as the Quran, it states in Surah Bajina, ayat number 5. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وما أمروا إلا ليعبدوا الله مخلصين له الدين حنفاء ويقيموا الصلاة ويؤتوا الزكاة وذلك الدين القيمة. And they were not commanded except to worship Allah, being sincere to Him in religion, inclined to truth, and to establish prayer, and to give zakat. And that is the correct religion. This shows that Islam also emphasizes in helping our Muslim brother and sister who are in need, which indeed compete for Islam. Through social media, we can not only make people cognizant about the condition, but also there are ways of fundraising through Facebook, Instagram, and many others. Further, there are some people like teenagers who are not legally responsible, but they are ardent and enthusiastic when it comes to help someone. But they don't have something to give, something that can really help an individual person. But I'm here with an idea that instead of thinking that you're not being the source, why don't you become the light? What I mean to say is that if you know a wealthy person and he and she is in search of a person with a need, you can connect them both. In Sahih Muslim, Prophet Muhammad states, whoever guides to a good deed gets the same reward as the doer of that deed. Indeed, that's a great relief. Here, I'd like to end my speech with justice that Allah does not intend poverty for people. We should recognize the responsibility to redress the balance where there is poverty and for a just distribution of the wealth which we believe Allah has created. Jazakallah khair.
Jazakallah khair, Sister response to that speech. Indeed, poverty is not something that we should accept as fate, something that is an active duty of ours to take care of, especially when we come from a position of privilege. It is our duty to respond to the calls of those who are in need. With that, I would like to call upon Brother Talib, who is a Shifa Academy senior, and his topic is the influence of LGBTQ community on the Ummah today. Brother Talib.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونسلم على رسول الكريم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. My name is Talib Sheikh, and the topic I'm going to be speaking about is a very controversial topic. an argument people usually refrain from discussing. I think it's necessary that we bring this topic to light and put forth some key points in this area. The topic I'm going to be speaking on is the influence of LGBTQ communities on this generation of Muslims. So for starters, I think it's important to discuss to understand how and why these people believe in what they believe. It's necessary to understand why these people have formed a community. So in the simplest of words, their justification is that Astaghfirullah Rabbi min kulli dhanbi wa atubu ilayh. God has made a mistake by creating them. They were supposed to be born a male or a female, but they were born a female or a male. Or another justification that they are under the impression of is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Astaghfirullah, made me this way. I am free to choose whatever gender I want. I am free to feel attracted to whoever I want at any point of time in my life. And this is something that they believe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is happy with. This is the most absurd claim anyone could ever make regarding Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's attributes. Allah is Azza wa Jal, He is Al-Alim. And there are people out here doubting His knowledge, His creation. Now, in a very subtle way, these groups have been able to win the hearts of millions, convince millions to join them, and are doing one of the biggest acts of shirk openly. And they get praised for it. They get applauded for being so brave and coming forward and for expressing themselves. Now, what's shocking to me is that, according to a recent survey done by Public Religion Research Center, more than 52% of American Muslims agree that society should approve of homosexuality. This is in the US. This community has become so strong over the past few years, and the main reason why I think this topic has to be addressed at the earliest is that I have personally met Muslim teenagers who have been exposed to this environment, an environment where on social media people get appreciated for coming out of the closet. They've been exposed to an environment where they see members of this community in huge groups supporting each other, building a bond together. They've been exposed to an environment where people believe that everyone has their own sexual orientation, to the point where they've forgotten the principles of Islam. They've forgotten that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created only two genders. They've forgotten that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created man to woman and the other way around. They've just forgotten. Or maybe they were never taught such things. The point I'm trying to make is that all my life, I've seen adults try to stay away from such controversial topics when conversing with younger ones. They try to avoid talking about topics like these. Now, the funny thing is that maybe in the general public, this may be controversial. But there shouldn't be any controversy when it comes to us Muslims, right? The Ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I believe if these topics are not taught to them when they're of young age, they will eventually learn about it with time. But what they might learn might not be according to the principles of Islam. So it's best if such laid down principles are made clear to them. Now in Surah Al-Araf, ayah number 81, it says, "You lust after men instead of women. You are indeed people who go beyond the limits." There's another two ayahs, verse number 165 and 166 from Surah Ashura, which says that, "Why do men lust after men, leaving the wives that your Lord has created for you? In fact, you are transgressing people." There's a lot more verses from the Holy Quran which points to the fact that homosexuality in Islam is undoubtedly forbidden, haram. Now, this is an important point which I think everyone must understand. So let's speak from the point of view of someone who not only gets into this environment, but also finds himself or herself doubting their sexual orientation, right? Okay, so the thing is, desires are not sinful. nor is it okay for you to be identified or criticized because of those desires. However, acting on such desires is where it becomes haram. Now, this is a very normal concept. Let's take an example. You're fasting. You have a desire to eat, right? There's nothing wrong with it. It's completely fine. However, acting upon this desire where you actually end up breaking your fast and eating, that is pretty much haram, yes. So this concept can be applied literally anywhere and everywhere, and it does most certainly apply in this context as well. It's very commendable and appreciable of you if you have these desires and you do not give in to these desires. Just like any other challenge you face in life, if you ever find someone who is doubting the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created them, just remind them that this is shaitan's whispers. It's just a phase that will eventually fade away. So don't give in. Restrain yourself, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward you for restraining yourself. I'd like to conclude by saying that my intention is not to create any sort of animosity towards such groups. There are people, at the end of the day, we shouldn't hate them or curse them. Instead, we should hate their actions and what they believe in us. But at the same time, we must respect them as people simply because our religion has never taught us to follow any sort of violence or hate crime. And remember, if you are not punished for your thoughts and desires, you are only punished for your actions. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. جزاكم الله خير.
Brother Talib. Indeed, if we transgress beyond our limits, we are indeed a doomed race. Thank you so much. With that, I would like to now invite Mr. Alina to present her topic.
نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسول الكريم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. My name is Alina Lehman, and today I'll be speaking on the topic hijab, our rights, our symbols, and our identity. A topic that right now, in this present time, needs all attention. As a Muslim girl, I know the importance the hijab plays in my life. It makes me feel safe, honored, and connected to our faith. And when this very symbol of my identity comes into attack, I cannot stay silent. So before I go deep into this topic, I would like to answer a question. What actually is the hijab? The word hijab comes from the Arabic root word hajaba, which means to conceal or cover. In an Islamic context, hijab refers to the dress code required for Muslim females who have reached puberty. And why is it required for Muslim women? Why is it mandatory? Because Islam promotes modesty and decency and seeks to minimize immorality within society. The hijab, along with other things, helps attain this goal. Now we all know that we might come across people who give you stares or ignore you or greet you with bad language or foul words just for wearing hijab. There might be unfair decisions at work or at school. Why? Because you're wearing the hijab. But why do they do this? Why are we treated so harshly? Maybe because they carry a wrong mindset about Islam, or they get influenced by people who speak bad about Islam, or maybe because of extremist beliefs. In the last century, it was very common, or it was a tradition to wear caps or scarves by all people of all religions. There was no issue of having a covering on your head. Even Christian nuns used head covering as a practice to indicate their closeness to God. Sikh men wear turbans to representing spirituality, honor, and piety. All these are current practices, and they are very similar to the hijab. Then why are Muslims only targeted? Why is Islamophobia increasing every year? Anti-hijab laws are very common. I'm sure all of you have come across them. France has banned girls under 18 and sportswomen from wearing hijab. The India state, the Karnataka state, has ruled that the hijab is not essential to Islam. So henceforth, students or teachers at schools or universities are not allowed to wear hijab. They have to follow their own uniform. So why are such laws coming up? One of the reasons could be the increasing population of Muslims. Another could be the fear of Muslim leaders. Lastly, the ignorance of Muslims. So to help people understand and to enlighten ourselves about why we wear hijab, I would like to mention 3 points. As I mentioned before, the first point, Islam promotes modesty and decency, and this is the wisdom behind the hijab. It minimizes moral degradation in society as much as possible for both men and women. The second, it grants women confidence and self-respect for who they are. The obsession with physical appearance can have dangerous consequences, as some women go to harmful lengths in order to feel accepted by demanding society. The hijab helps prevent such mental and physical harm associated with a lack of confidence by limiting self-consciousness based on appearance. And the last point, hijab is essential for women as it gives them a feeling of being comfortable and safe. It saves them from backlash. And to answer a very common question, does hijab harm or affect society in any way? Hijab is not a harm to anyone. It does not harm the people of any religion. It is not a symbol of oppression. It is not a sign of female inferiority to men. It is not a means to restrict a woman's freedom to express her views and opinions. And I would like to conclude my speech by saying that the hijab is an act of obedience between a Muslim woman and her creator. It is a source of empowerment and dignity, and millions of women around the world chose to wear the hijab as part of their faith. It is an act of liberation, purity, and most importantly, belief. Respect for women is an important aspect of Islamic teaching, and this is illustrated via the hijab. And to all those anti-hijab laws or riots around the world, I would like to express my gratitude to all those women who stood strong in these riots back in India, France, or anywhere around the world. And to those who are scared, I would like to say that there is nothing to be afraid of. All we need to do is stand strong together, because hijab is our right, our symbol, our identity, and our choice. May Allah bless us with all the strength to stand strong, bless us with the right leaders, and remove Islamophobia from people.
MashaAllah, Jazakallah khair, Sister Alina. Indeed, hijab is a symbol of our beauty, and it's a fundamental right that every woman, every Muslim woman should stand tall and feel proud of subscribing to. Next, I would like to call upon Sister Bisma for taking us, sorry, Sister Suzanne for taking us to yet another war-struck country, Syria, and I would like her to share her views and to shed some light on what's happening in Syria. Jazakallah khair, Sister Suzanne.
نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم أما بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. To my all respected teachers and my fellows, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Suzanne and I am from level 4 at Shifa Academy. First of all, I would like to thank you, Dr. Ammi and Sir Alim, for giving me this opportunity to present a speech on the topic the Syrian genocide, a wake-up call for all. Today, I will talk about the past and current situation of the Syrian genocide from which the Syrian people have suffered a lot. Based on the court affidavit of Kilan Qasar, a Syrian American on March 11, 2020, the president of Syria, Bashar al-Assad, is committing genocide. He has purposely erased 200,000 Syrian civilians from existence. Most of these victims are Sunni Arabs, but this is not about religion. This is about a dictator who is willing to gas children to stay in power. Millions of people are internally displaced refugees who were forced to leave for Turkey and Europe. Let me explain to you how Syrian war is started. It started as a peaceful uprising against the president of Syria 10 years ago, turned into a civil war. The United Nations has verified that over 300,000 civilians were killed between 2011 and 2021. But there is no actual number. This shows how the horrors of the war are hidden from the public sight. Now, I would like to tell you that how has the country been affected. 11 years of war have caused suffering on the Syrian people. 2 million living in country camps. 6.8 million are refugees neighboring Lebanon, Jordan and Turkey. 14.6 million people inside Syria were in need of assistance. So now the question is, will the war ever end? It does not look like it will end anytime soon. But everyone agrees a political solution is required. The UN Security Council has called for the implementation of the 2012 Geneva Convention. What's happening in Syria is a modern day Holocaust. There is no worst scenario. Assad has shown that he will do anything to stay in power. More than 500,000 Syrians have died in the conflict, and 13 million have been displaced. So, in my opinion, the United Nations, OIC, and world leaders have to come together to resolve the issue of the Syrian genocide. As a Muslim, it is our responsibility to pray for Syrian people as it is mentioned in Hadith. Abdullah ibn Umar reported, the messenger of Allah said, Muslim is a brother to another Muslim. May Allah bring peace and harmony in Syria soon. Ameen, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Jazakallahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum.
Jazakallah khair, Sister Suzanne, for that insightful speech about Syria. May Allah indeed protect us from tyrants, and may Allah strike His hand of justice and liberate us from oppressors. Jazakallah khair. Next up, we have, of course, every gathering is incomplete without the mention of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And as we know from our sessions, that the greatest speech of all time should be measured based on its impact. And the entity that had the most impact on the Ummah and on the rest of humanity since the time he came and continues in eternity is the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because his words and his deeds and his sunnah is what has created the largest impact on most people for all times to come, right? So I would like to invite Mr. Filza to please come and shed some light on the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's beloved sunnah.
My name is Fawza Hashmi, and today I would like to talk about the Prophet Sunnah. What is the Prophet Sunnah? The Sunnah refers to the saying and practices of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and is the second source of knowledge for Muslims. Prophet Muhammad is considered to be known as the perfect role model. Why is the Prophet Sunnah important? The Sunnah are documented in the Hadith, which are records of the Prophet's teaching, deeds, and statements. Sunnah can help us reach a higher place in Jannah and can get us closer to Allah. It's not an obligation for most of it, but those who follow it will be highly rewarded. There's three types of Sunnah. The first is the saying of the Prophet, which is Sunnah al-Awliya. The second is the actions of the Prophet, which is Sunnah al-Sibya. The final type of the Sunnah is the practices prevailing during Muhammad's time, which does not oppose Sunnah al-Sibya. What are some examples of Sunnah? Doing hijama, sitting while eating or drinking, having a pleasant smile, reciting ayatul kursi after each prayer, and replying to the adhan for each prayer. The two types of hadith. The sacred, these are sacred sayings in which Muhammad quotes words from Allah which are not included in the Quran. The prophetic, these are wise sayings which the Prophet himself gave. May Allah help us practice this in our daily lives and reward us for our actions.
Jazakallah khair, Mr. Filza, for that wonderful speech. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the wisdom and the ability to incorporate the blessed sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam into our daily lives so that we may uplift ourselves and have, as you said, a higher status in Jannah. Jazakallah khair. With that, we come to the end of our speeches, and I would like everyone to congratulate all the speakers for their speeches. So, thank you so much, everyone, for your speeches. And something that I would like to add, and this is by far the most interesting component of this project, which is this process of active feedback. You come from a place, you learn, and then you apply, and then you grow, right? And I think this was captured very well in the course of these speeches, because each and every speaker of the year has undergone a mock session in which we went through their speeches, we tried to rectify changes, we saw how they could incorporate what we learned based on the structure of a speech, how we should start, how we should finish, how to grab the audience's attention. And alhamdulillah, I can see each and every speaker here today has incorporated each of these aspects of a good speech, and they have been able to come from a position where they were sort of confused about which topic, which title, to delivering powerful speeches with powerful topics. And I can genuinely feel like I'm happy with the kind of impact you had today. This was by far much better than your mock session. So congratulations to each and every one of you. You've done a fantastic job. Thank you so much for your speeches. Now, as a token of appreciation, I would like to call upon each of you speakers today to receive a certification for completing this project. And inshallah, for those of you who could not make it this time, unfortunately, we understand everyone has their reasons, and it's a difficult time to manage your work-life priorities. So inshallah, maybe the next year we will see more new faces and a lot more speeches and a lot more progress, inshallah. So without further ado, I would like to invite Sister Alina Naiman to please come here and accept your certificate. Congratulations, Alina. Sir Filda Hashmi, please come. I would like to invite Dr. Ami to please give out the rest of the certificate. Ami, please. Ami is too humble for all of us. Sister Suzanne. Brother Talib, please come. Jazakallah. Sister Bisma, please come. Jazakallah khair everyone for your speeches. I would now like to call upon Shifa Ami to please give us a word of thanks.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم. Assalamu alaikum everyone. It's an absolute pleasure to be here and to attend this absolutely fantastic, rejuvenating, inspiring session. I thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and our beloved Shifa, our guide, our mentor, who always told us and guided us that the true power of knowledge is the ability to deliver it. You can have a lot of knowledge within yourself, but if you don't know how to deliver it, you will not succeed. So the reason we did this session was to promote the values that our leader, our founder has instilled in us, which is that each one of you is an ambassador of Islam. Each one of you, wherever you go, whether you're in the masjid or you're in the mall, you are representing the true religion of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the way that you can do that is to have the ability to present your ideas in the most powerful way. And for that, I'm eternally grateful for my son, my brother, my sister, son, brother Alim. I am so impressed with Alim. Mashallah, he's a debate expert, a speech expert. And when I saw this quality in him, that is why I wanted to make him your leader, to teach you the values and the skills that he has. That is one of the goals of Shifa Academy, of our organization, is when we see talent, we want, you're like an uncut diamond. So we pick you up and we polish you and then we present you to the world. That's the whole philosophy of Shifa Academy and of Guidance Samaya. So I thank Brother Alim from the bottom of my heart for the effort he put in for the entire month. He has been with you all for a whole month. I know technically it's 6 hours, but beyond, behind every hour of the Zoom session, there's a lot of planning, a lot of thinking, a lot of guiding, a lot of brainstorming, and the topics that you guys chose today was it just blew me away. It was out of this world. I think it was quite in this world, and that's the good point. That is the point. The point is we need to become relevant. The problem is, unfortunately, Islamic topics are becoming irrelevant. People are not talking about modern day topics in the context of Islam. And that is what we are trying to do. We're trying to wake up our youth to say that Islam encompasses everything. There is nothing, there is no moment in your life that is outside the purview of Islam. Which is one of my famous saying, whether you're in the mall or you're in the masjid, it is the same Allah who is watching you. So you don't change your behavior no matter where you are. So this was a pilot project and delivered fantastically by Brother Ali. So I have a small token of appreciation for Ali as well. So please, thank you. Thank you very much, Ali, and thank you, all of you. Again, I thank you. This, as I mentioned, is a pilot project, which all that means is the rest of you who came today as an audience, you have a chance to do this again, inshallah, depending on Ali's availability. We will do more of these, and the idea again, मैं एक बार फिर कहूँगी, इसका मकसद ये है कि आपका बेहतरीन मुबल्लिग और मुबल्लिगा बन जाएं दीन इस्लाम के लिए। आपके दिल के अंदर जो इल्म दाखिल हम कर रहे हैं शिफा अकेडमी में अपने मुर्शिद पाक की दुआओं से, उस पर आप अमल भी करें और उसको दूसरों तक पहुंचाएं, अपने अमल के जरिए भी, लेकिन अपने टीचर्स के जरिए भी, अपनी तकारीर के जरिए। तो हर इंसान को यहाँ पर ये सोचना है कि मुझे अपने नबी सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम को कैसे रिप्रेजेंट करना है। आज की दुनिया में जहाँ हमारे दीन पर उंगलियां उठाई जा रही हैं, नबी पाक सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम के ज़ाते अक़दस पर उंगलियां उठाई जा रही हैं, उनके खानवादे मुबारक पर उंगलियां उठाई जा रही हैं, अल्लाह पर उंगलियां उठाई जा रही हैं, यानी कि जो सेक्रेड स्फीयर है, जो तक़द्दुस का स्फीयर है दुनिया में, the sacred is under attack. What you have to understand is the sacred is being attacked by the profane. We as a human race are becoming more and more profane. And everything that is sacred is up for grabs. And we are out here to say that no. What is sacred remains sacred because it means a lot to a lot of people. So no one can get away with hurting the sentiments of the billions of people. So again, thank you very much for attending, for participating, for being a part of this process. And I invite everyone, inshallah, as we continue these sessions, to become more and more active and to participate more and more in these speech presentations. And within your Shifa Academy level, the each Shifa Academy level, we have a section on speech training. So we have speech training in level 3, 4, in our senior group. So we want all of you to become more and more active in the speech training so that, there is no fear, as Sister Adina said, there is nothing to be afraid of. We are here as representatives of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and the awliya kiram. So we represent 1400 years of legacy. Islam wasn't born yesterday. So you are not alone. If you feel you're being attacked for your hijab, or if you feel that you are being singled out for a certain position on the LGBT community, whatever you feel, don't feel alone. Recognize that you have a backing of 1400 years of scholarship, 1400 years of amazing women scholars, 1400 years of amazing male scholars from all over the world. Every continent has Muslim scholars. So we are that ummah, alhamdulillah, that has people from Africa, so to the darkest of the dark skin to the whitest of the white skin. Because Islam makes no difference on the color of skin. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala looks at our heart. He doesn't look at our physical appearance. So we hope that this short seminar was a way that we pleased our Lord, that we were able to come a little bit closer to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's deen, and that we were able to touch upon topics that our youth can be further inspired by, and that we can take this entire journey forward. So I thank you again. We'll just end with a dua. اللهم صل على سيدنا مولانا محمد وعلى ال سيدنا مولانا محمد وبارك وسلم عليه. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, Ya Kareem, Ya Hayy, Ya Qayyum. Ya Allah, whatever time that we have spent in this public speaking seminar that was hosted by Brother Ali over the past month, every single person, every single moment of attendance, Ya Allah, accept it as ibadah. Ya Allah, forgive any mistakes or any shortcomings that we may have had. Ya Allah, you are well aware that our intentions are good. Perhaps we have made some mistakes along the way. Ya Allah, forgive our mistakes. Ya Allah, forgive our mistakes. Astaghfirullah Rabbi min kulli dhanbin wa atubu ilayh. Astaghfirullah Rabbi min kulli dhanbin wa atubu ilayh. Astaghfirullah Rabbi min kulli dhanbin wa atubu ilayh. Ya Allah, whatever good deeds that we have gathered during this process of the seminar, Ya Allah, grant all of its reward to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, to his blessed family, to his noble companions, to the taba'een, the taba'een, and to all of the awliya karam, and to all of the souls of the mu'mineen and the mu'minat, especially of those participants, all of the people that have passed away and their families. Ya Allah, grant the ajr and the sawab and the reward of the entire good deeds to all of their families. And Ya Allah, we pray for each and every single youth in this room. Ya Allah, make them successful ambassadors of Islam. Ya Allah, help them choose careers that will help them do service to your humanity. Ya Allah, increase them and all of us in the love of your Habib sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, of his blessed family, of his noble companions, and all of the friends of Allah. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وقنا عذاب القبر وقنا عذاب الحشر وقنا عذاب الميزان